Welcome, Nat. Good to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much.
We've known each other for a few years actually, which is pretty cool. We first met way back in a networking group, probably 9 years ago,
Yep.
8-9 years ago.
Yep.
And you were running a commercial cleaning business at that time.
Yep.
And before we started recording, we were just talking about the challenges of that. And I can really relate. Like when you were talking about that stage that you went through with like extreme difficulty and really battling through it. Like I thought the same thing about that Airbnb business I was running for a wee while.
Yeah.
And just getting to that absolute breaking point.
Yeah.
Like I think the moment came on Christmas Day when I had like these 3 Airbnbs to clean.
Yep.
And they were all a total nightmare.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Airbnb cleaning was so stressful because you'd walk in expecting just a quick wee turnover and sometimes they'd just destroyed the place. And you're like, what am I going to do here? I've only got an allotted amount of time. Also, I'm going to have to now ring the owners and be like, your place is destroyed and try and fix this and then move other cleans out. Yeah, they were hard.
Yeah.
They were hardcore.
How did you get into the commercial cleaning business?
So actually through Paul. So he was obviously doing the as is where his properties at the time. Bless him. He would take me around and be like, "Oh, look how cool it is. Do you want to come and see?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be looking around and I'd be like, "Is it being cleaned?" Like, because he's like, "Oh yeah, like the open homes are on Saturday," and it'd be like 2 days before, and I'm like, "You had this place cleaned?" Because I mean, it's pretty. And he's like, "Can you not just like enjoy this?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, sorry, but like if you're showing this as a home, like, and you're showing it to potential families, like I'd be looking at the dust and how dirty it is." So it kind of just went from there. And he was like, "Well, if you think you can do a better job, why don't you?" I was like, "Okay, I will."
So it started as a challenge.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it just it kind of started out with just residentials. Picked up some residentials from friends, and then met Peter the painter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and met him in the pub, and he was like, "Oh, you should come to a B&I networking group that I go to."
Oh, really? That's how it came about.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he brought me as a wee visitor, and I visited a couple of times, and then was like, "This is awesome, yeah."
This is cool.
Yeah, and I think the craziest thing was about that was by the time the first visit to when I paid the invoice, which I think by the time of it, I think it was 5 weeks. So I'd been to 5 visits. I'd already made double the amount of what the subscription was for the B&I group.
Cool.
And I was like, wow, this is crazy.
This is great.
This is awesome, yeah.
Yes, it's a funny thing, isn't it, cleaning? It's one of those industries that because someone's in your house or business, right,
Yep.
you sort of need that level of trust. And so you don't really want to go to the Google or Yellow Pages or whatever, right?
No. I mean, even now at the moment, I'm kind of tossing in around like having someone come and do our place because I'm just, jam-packed with all the fun stuff that I want to do with Kiri. And I'm like, maybe I should get a cleaner. And again, I'm like, where do I go?
Where do you start?
Yeah, where do I start? Because I don't trust someone coming into my house. And,
No.
Yeah.
And so therefore, like it works really well in that B&I model, right?
Yeah. That trust is like key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny we mentioned this actually. We just met a cleaner on the weekend. And it was through a referral. So so I found one.
Yeah.
So I've got one if you are keen.
Yeah, I'll definitely get that.
Yeah.
That number, yeah.
And so you ran the cleaning business for how long?
I'd say 3-4 years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have even been longer. I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
Bit of a blur, yeah.
Bit of a blur, yeah, 100%.
Was that your first business or?
Yes. Yeah. That was the first business I'd ever owned. I'd managed my sister's business back in England. She had a nail salon, nail and beauty salon. And she brought me in to basically kind of manage, because as my mum always used to say, Claire's the pretty one and you're the clever one. Which it's definitely got some deeper issues there. So she brought me in to sort of manage it and really look after kind of the customer nurturing and then bringing in new business. And then she kind of trained me in the nails as well. So it was a bit of both. So I had a bit of knowledge and a bit of background, but I'd never really particularly owned and ran my own business.
Take a quick moment to say thank you to one of our sponsors, Gerard's Insurance. Now, as a business owner, there's one thing that's really important, and that's your time. When I worked with Gerard's, they saved me a huge amount of time. I didn't have to shop around. They got it done. They were amazing, and I highly, highly, highly recommend getting in touch with them if you're a business owner and looking to get the best insurance option available. Yeah. Would you say that you're like entrepreneurial by DNA, or do you think it's been more of a learned behavior?
I'd say it was just in me. Yeah, I think the way my mum and dad brought me up, they definitely brought me up in regards to kind of like you earn what you spend, the kind of credit card, afterpay, all this sort of stuff that you've got now just wasn't a thing for my parents. It was a case of, you've got to earn it, you've got to be a hard worker. But then also just the always wanting more. I really wanted to, funnily enough, I really wanted to be an architect back in the day, but I'm just not very good in a like a school type of environment or uni environment. And it was like, I think it was 9 years all up to become an architect. And I was like, nope, that's out the window.
That's not going to work.
That's not going to work, no. So then I, just did a kind of designy course, but then, realised I wasn't really learning much there. It was quite broad. But yeah, I think it's always been in me. So any job I've always been in, I've always been like, cool, what's the next step?
Nice.
Where's the ladder? Where can I go with this?
Yeah, cool.
And then obviously, I suppose, when you come out of that, when you've got that mindset, you then kind of go, well, do you know what? I'm actually working so hard for someone else and they don't really appreciate it. Some people did. I've had really good, like awesome bosses in the past, but some people just didn't. You're a number on the checklist and they don't care how hard you work and how hard you're not. So I was like, if I'm going to work so hard, I may as well do it for myself.
Yeah, cool. And with the cleaning business, you had staff, you had a team. Was it mostly commercial or residential?
It was kind of 50-50, to be honest. Yeah. So we ended up pretty much 50-50, like 50% residential, 50% commercial. I ended up getting it to a team of like 9, I think, at one stage, which was crazy to think about when I think about that now.
It is a bit of a handful, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, they always say, because I'd spoken and had some advice from someone else who actually just bought a cleaning business. So he had I think they had 50 to 100 staff, and obviously like turnover was constant and stuff. And yeah, he'd said like below 10, it's a really hard figure. It sounds really strange. He was like, but once you kind of go above that 10, it seems to work a lot easier. You've got more people to kind of shuffle, and well, so-and-so's 6 today, so we'll put them in there. Does anyone else want to pick up another shift? But yeah, I think I sat too long in that really, really like hard stage.
Yeah.
And just couldn't get past that.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
And so the cleaning came. What did you do with it in the end? Does it shut down?
Yeah, I found someone else and sold the commercial side to them. So I just said, they weren't really interested in the residential, and I was a bit like, well, what am I going to do? So I kept the 50% residential. They bought the commercial contracts, and I had another girl actually at that time who had only been with me about 3 months, but she was awesome. And I'd said to her, look, we're shutting down. Obviously told all the staff, like, we're shutting down. I can't do it anymore. But then said to her, look, I don't want to let these people down. If you want, I'm happy to just give you them. Like, give you the clients, you take it, you take that work and go self-employed. And she was like, and I walked her through like being self-employed, gave her details of like accountants and, all that sort of stuff, and basically like set her up. And then I took sort of mine and 50%, and then she took the other.
Yeah, right. No doubt, so many things learned over that journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there would be no way to replicate that learning, right?
No, I walked out there going, I'm never owning a business again. No, this isn't me. I'm just a worker.
Right.
And then obviously Paul was like, well, never say never, because that's a very different business to like, there can be multiple different businesses out there that have different structures. He was like, never say never. And I was like, yeah, whatever.
And then fast forward, how long was it until Kiri 10 came along?
I think it must have been 2 or 3 years, because I'd done the cleaning for about a year. Then I went to go work for a friend, just as kind of a PA, but then that ended up just being a receptionist job. And that's again where I was a bit like, I want more out of life. The boys and my friend Shah had started the Airbnb Airbnbs, and they had cleaning and all the rest of it, and she was kind of had her own design business on the side. So yeah, she got me in to basically manage those, because goes hand in hand with the cleaning Airbnb. And then that was probably, I want to say 4 or 5 months, and then that's when COVID hit. So it was like April 2020, and obviously the boys were a bit like, well, don't know what's going to happen here. And I was a bit like, oh gosh, what does this mean for me? Like, do I have to go and get a job now? And so we kind of just made it work. Obviously, through the lockdowns, we were quite lucky in regards to we'd got long-term people in. So we kind of had some like backpackers who were like, well, we're stuck now. Do you mind if we stay? And I was like, yep, fine. So quite lucky in that regard. But the boys were like, look, I think we're going to have to sell these. We don't know whether the borders are going to open again, whether travel is going to happen. And at that time, Ant was going to the gym with a guy, and they'd been working out like for about a year together. And obviously, as men do, they don't really talk. They're just like, yeah, gym. And then eventually they were a bit like, oh, sorry, what do you do for business, by the way? And what do you do for work? Turned out he was an importer and exporter of raw ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
And Ant just laughed. He was like, oh, yeah, Paul's Mrs. Natalie has been on all these collagen things and all these different supplements and hair care. She's got real bad hair loss from a bad stint of like mental health. And he was like, oh, wait, I tell you, she's struggling. I'll give her this amazing keratin that's it's being developed, but no one in New Zealand's like using it yet. It's basically all getting shipped over to the US and like the EU. So we tried it, and I was instantly like, oh, this is pretty good. Like 3 months in, I was a bit like, I don't think my hair's been falling out. And Paul was like, yeah, I haven't like seen the trail in the shower or like behind you on the floor and stuff. And he'd been trying it as well for his skin, and he was like, I don't think I've had a breakout actually. And I was like, yeah, I wonder if it is that stuff. Surely it must be. We've not changed anything else. And then it just didn't disappear. It just kept getting better. So all these baby hairs grew into like little bangs, and then it was kind of a case of like, just spoke to the boys and was like, shall we? Like, shall we just set up a business and do this? Because this stuff's amazing, and surely if I'm struggling, other people out there will be struggling as well.
Yeah.
And that's basically where it started.
Wow.
So, used like all the lockdowns and COVID and all the kind of up and down to just learn as much as I could about the keratin, learn what I could about starting an online brand. Obviously, the cleaning business was purely referral, purely on foot, on the ground. So none of it was really online. Had a little Facebook page, but nothing major. So it was a complete 180. Learning how to do a website and build an audience and find your people and all this sort of stuff. That's kind of how it all started, really.
I love that silver lining.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID comes along. It's so disruptive. There's so many negatives that come out of it, but yet so many good things and so many things that have allowed people to reinvent themselves and to find new opportunities. Yeah. What was the initial product? Was it a shampoo or is it a...
No, it was the supplement.
Oh,
so,
like
it was the capsules.
Gotcha.
So the guy who sort of introduced us to it, he helped sort of set us up with the keratin company and the chief scientific officer, and then basically helped us build the product. So rather than just coming out with just the keratin, we developed a formula that would really like enhance the keratin. So really just made it an absolute powerhouse, as well as like other ingredients that were really good for like hair, skin and nails in general as well. So we had like hydrolyzed marine collagen in there, which, we could have easily have just come out as a collagen brand because collagen was on the rise at that time. And I was like, I just don't want to. Like the collagen's not our hero here. It's the keratin. I was like, if we're going to do this, that keratin is our hero. It's local. It comes from New Zealand. Everything else is just a product that is there to help it. Right. Once we'd done like the setup and once we'd got going, launched the website in August 2021, and it was obviously a slow starter, slow burner. People were still, on the back end of COVID, not really spending, but I realised how many people were struggling. And also I was doing a lot of like business coaching at the time. I did like some online courses and really learning about that really important business foundations, the kind of like brand story, for example, because I didn't really say anything about how it started. I didn't tell anyone about my hair loss and that I struggled. I just kind of came on like, oh my God, this ingredient's amazing. But obviously you kind of look back now and go, but everyone says ingredients are amazing.
Exactly.
So,
the story, right?
Yeah, it's the story
context.
in the context and how you know that. So once I kind of did that training and was a bit like, oh, maybe I should put myself out there. I don't really want to, but do you know what? It's going to be worth it, because if I can help people and support people and they'll see the results that I did, then it'll be worth it. So yeah, I kind of really started pushing myself out there, telling the story, and that's when we really started to pick up speed. And I was like, oh, okay, this has resonated. But at the same time was kind of battling some like imposter syndrome, because I was like, well, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a trichologist. I'm not a hairdresser with like fountains of years of knowledge. Like, who are these people to trust me? But again, everything I was learning was, if you've got a problem and you find a solution, there's nothing more powerful than that.
Totally.
Like, there's mountains of scientists out there who go and create these products, and do they work? Probably not, because they've just looked at it from a very like through a lens type of thing, rather than actually working with real people around it working.
Totally.
So it kind of just spanned from there, and it's kind of grown from then. And then the funniest thing was, I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue, because obviously from the mental health, I'd been doing a lot of anxiety and depression. I'd found a really, really awesome doctor, actually. She was quite a young doctor, so very like understanding, and swapped and changed my medications. Some didn't work, some did. And I found a really good one, kept me on a level playing field. And then I started to divulge about the chronic fatigue, and I was like, well, it's part of the journey, so I may as well tell people. Also, I was like sometimes sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day, so people couldn't get hold of me. So I was kind of like, that's why I'm in bed. So, and then from that, and this is the beauty of obviously like opening up, and this is why I always say I'm super transparent, and I will always be super open, because as soon as I started sharing that on the socials and on the website around my own story, a lady reached out to be like, hi, I just want to find out about your products. And we'd spoken about the product and how it helps hair loss. And then she was like, oh, by the way, I just thought I'd tell you, I've read your thing about chronic fatigue, and my daughter had that, and she was in Christchurch. She went to see this lady, did this training course, and she's fixed and never had it again. And I'm like, never had it, because all I'd ever been told from like the doctors and like all of these other medical health professionals and nurses was, look, it's nothing you're going to be able to fix. You can't ever fix this. It's going to be with you for life. It's just about managing it now.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, how am I going to run a business?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm in. Who's this person? I want to know more. And that's when I then learned about the lightning process, which was a mixture between kind of like brain rewiring, NLP, language, all of these things wrapped into like one program, and chatted to this awesome chick who, again, very similar to mine. She had a problem. She had a really chronic pain. Went and did this course. Her pain just disappeared, and she was like, I don't want to go back to work. I want to do this. Like, I want to help people.
Yeah, cool.
So she went to England, that's where it was created by, was a guy in England. She went over, trained how to do it, and then came back and had done it ever since. And yeah, I did that, and it was just incredible.
Amazing.
It was so good.
Power of vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Putting yourself out there, and I guess just not overthinking it, or trying not to overthink it.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, like, we're all just trying to figure it out, right?
Oh, 100%.
And so why not just put it out there? It's not really a lot of downside.
No. And that's it. Like, that's why I laughed to you at the beginning and said, I'm super transparent. I'm very open. Probably too much for my own good at times, but it's only ever done me good. You know?
I like that. Yeah, I really like that theory. I think that there's that sentiment that, like, if anyone's gonna like make fun of you or bully or be negative, like on social media, for example, they're not usually people ahead of you or above you. They're usually people beneath and that have some form of jealousy or something going on themselves, right?
Yeah. In fact, there's those type of people I actually feel really sorry for, which is strange. People get really angry with them, and I actually have the complete opposite. I just feel really sorry for them, because I'm like, you must be so unhappy to go online, or even just in the real world, to put other people down and put so much negativity out. You must be so unhappy with your life. And I've been in an unhappy space when I was in the depression stage, and it's horrible. You know, it's such a like dark, negative place. And now I'm kind of like on that other side, and I'm like happy all the time. I'm like, wow, like it's sad. Like you've got nothing else obviously going on other than trying to make others feel bad.
Yeah, it is sad. Yeah, I have like a combination of empathy and curiosity, like to get to that point where you feel the need to put out negativity into the world. I'm just confused and curious, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
What is going on with those people sometimes?
Yeah, and that's it. I'm very, very similar to that, actually. Super curious. Like, I watch a lot of crime documentaries, and I'm like, why? Like, what happens there? Like, what happens with the brain, and what happens with that thought pattern for you to go, this is what I'm going to do right now? And yeah, so I'm just the same.
Yeah, I wonder if it just compounds though. Like, I find myself sometimes like going down the vortex, as we all do, right? And then like I'm looking at these comments and I'm on the verge of replying, and I'm like, hang on a minute, back up.
Yeah.
This isn't going to help.
Yeah.
This is just fueling it, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely.
I guess maybe the situation is that some people haven't had that self-control.
Yeah. I normally just go, like, if I do reply, sometimes I don't, but if I do reply, I just reply with like really nice stuff.
Yeah.
So rather than it being a fight, they kind of go, oh, she's been too nice that I kind of just can't fight back now.
Exactly.
So they kind of just disappear. Look, most of the time they actually just, the comments disappear, and I'm like, I wonder if they've deleted that.
Yeah,
because they've just kind of gone, oh, I didn't get the fight I wanted.
Yes.
There was one of the one thing I shared on TikTok recently, and it was one of the like ambassadors that we work with, and she's had the like most amazing journey with our products over the last year, and she was kind of like on the video, she's kind of holding out these like growth, and it's basically from like the scalp down to kind of like the ear, and it's just everywhere, so it just looks like she's got bangs pretty much. And yeah, one of the comments was like, it just looks like she's got that chopped, like however they mentioned it, like it just looks like bangs. And you could tell it was coming with like that's not real, that's a hairstyle.
Right.
And I was just like, I know, how amazing is this? Like, it's so cool. Like, Rachel's journey has been amazing to watch, because she was a bowel cancer survivor. So that's where her sort of journey began, was she had like significant hair loss through that, and having a babies and stuff. So she's taken it and she's seen such awesome results. And yeah, like just putting that and putting the fact of like highlighting, well, actually, this is that person's story. Now do you like, now do you feel a bit bad? Yeah, how do you feel a bit bad? And it just disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, probably because you're like, oh, I was trying to get a rise out of that company, but now they've just made me feel bad. So I'm like, yeah, like it's the age-old saying, kill them with kindness.
Yeah, true. Hard as it may be sometimes.
Yeah. My sister always taught me, actually, when if anyone ever gets like really angry at you when you're driving, like something happens and they're like, just wave and smile.
Yeah.
Wave and smile, and just they'll either be like, oh, okay, so, or they'll get even angrier, and either or, it's kind of funny. You're like, yeah, I'm just gonna be happy.
Yeah.
Sorry, guy.
Yeah. Just makes you realize what people are going through, right?
Yeah.
Like, so interesting. So 3 years on-ish, 3 years into the business?
Yeah.
2021, 4.
Yeah, 4 now. Yeah, we'll be coming into our 4th year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last year in particular has just been a whirlwind, but really awesome. Yeah. As soon as we kind of launched the hair care, because after about 2 years of being in the business, we kind of had people being like, so capsules are amazing. Can you recommend a hair care? Or are you going to bring out your own? And I've got a friend who has the New Zealand rights for another hair care brand, an Italy brand. So I said to her, hey, look, can I stock some of your products? Because I'd used hers and they were good. But I knew I always wanted to create our own with the keratin. And she was like, yeah, sure, no worries. And I was like, oh, it went so well. I was like, I kind of just want to start this. And we sort of had it in mind for like the back end of Start the Process 2024. But it was kind of just amping up to the point where I just said to the boys, I was like, I know we're not there yet, but I kind of just want to do this. Like, we've got so many people asking for products and for recommendations and something good. I was like, I kind of just feel like we should do it now. And they were like, just do it. Put the pin. And I was like, money? And they were like, we'll make it work. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You go pull the pin, you go get it sorted, and we'll just make it work, and we'll sort it. And yeah, that's how it kind of started. So back end of 2023, the process began in regards to the shampoo, the conditioner, and the serum. Found an amazing company in Christchurch, a cosmetic manufacturer, and worked with them like real super closely to build them and get the formulations right. I had a good indication of like what I wanted, so I wanted a lot of like majority natural ingredients, majority plant-based stuff, and then just brought them out. When was it? June, I think. Yeah, June. The shampoo and the conditioner launched, and I'd listened to my business training, and they were like, pre-launch, do a pre-launch and say it's coming out in a couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Do a discount to your existing customers. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm going to do that because these people are the ones who have asked for it.
Totally.
So I gave them a really good discount, and just said, look, we'll have these in a few weeks. You'll be the first ones to do it, and try it. And we basically sold, I think it must have been a quarter of what we'd actually like organised to get manufactured. And I was like, wow, okay, that worked.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? And then, all the feedback was coming in as well from them, which was obviously so crucial. Like, we'd obviously like tested it ourselves throughout that process of making it, and with friends, and I'd, give them the little funny sample pots and was like, go try it, and really tweaked it. But yeah, the feedback that came through was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, my hair feels so much softer,
Wow.
so much like thicker and silkier. Like, I was like, oh my God, it's working. Yay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And so you've got the shampoo, conditioner, serum?
Yeah, sorry. So the shampoo and the conditioner was June, and then July, the serum followed just like about a month after it. And yeah, again, just gone great guns. And then since then, we've just exploded pretty much. We're kind of seeing a pattern of like, we're basically doubling what we do every 3 to 4 months. So we've just like grown consistently. Yeah. And I funnily enough, I sit within this like my own little bubble, which, is it right? Is it not? I don't know. But everyone around me is like, oh, are you not feeling like the pinch? I've had like December was really bad, and like these, and I'm like, well, like we've just doubled what we've done.
Things are pretty good.
Yeah, things are pretty good. I don't know, like I just I don't sit in the doom and gloom. Like, I can't be realistic, but also I stick to what I'm doing. I head down.
It's a funny conversation that actually. I think sometimes it's just a conversation for no particular reason. Like, it's not actually based on fact or anything.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird thing that people gravitate toward the negative. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, because that is one thing I learned in the lightning process was around the rewiring of stories. And she gave like really good example. She was like, okay, so I'll give you an example. I've just been on holiday, for example, and I come home and you go, oh, how was it? Oh, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Oh, but I mean, it rained for 3 days, and oh yeah, and so then we did some a bit of walking. Oh, but then like my shoes broke, and
right.
She was like, so these are the little funny things where a lot of people sit in. They don't gravitate towards that positive aspect of something. They gravitate towards that negative, and that not doing it on purpose. It's just subconscious. It's just sort of how society kind of goes nowadays. But you can change that. So rather than finding the negative, you kind of find the positive, and you kind of, so instead it would be like, oh yeah, it was amazing, like love spending some time with the family, and like, oh, it rained, but do you know what, it was so funny because we were like, trust us, it rains, and it's, of course that's going to happen to us. Oh, and then we went for this amazing hike, the views were amazing. So it's just having that like slight change of how you view the world.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's hard to consist. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it, because I'm definitely not still, but I like now having the understanding of that, because I can stop myself and go, oh, you've just been real negative there, like,
yeah, that's
let's
helpful.
Change that script.
Yeah, I think it ties into who you're spending time with as well, right?
Yeah,
because if you're in an echo chamber of negative people and that's the general sentiment, of course you're probably going to keep on going. Right?
Yeah, and it is one thing that I struggle with, is having that like the boundary aspect, because life is life. There's hard things going on all the time. So like, even like my closest friends at the moment, and like my partner and other people around me, they're going through tough times at the moment, and it is hard to keep that positivity but having those boundaries to kind of go, ooh, okay, I've hit my little wall. I just need to go and do some reset so that then I can come back and I can be that source of positivity for you, because that's like who I class myself as now.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to. I'm very much like a empathetic absorber. I'm like a sponge. I absorb what's around me.
Yes.
But so I do have now clear boundaries of like, and everyone around me fully knows that. You know, I'm very open and I go, I'm gonna have a wee break. I'm just gonna disappear for like a wee reset.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be on my own, sort my headspace out, and then I'll be back with you.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I found something helpful lately. I've been doing these early morning beach visits / swims.
Yeah.
Just done it the last couple of weeks, but it's like having this time alone, solitude in nature.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Yeah.
It's the best way to spend an hour or two.
Yeah, it really is.
And it just allows me to reset and just be like, I don't know, get back to normal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've actually just started some new coaching with, funnily enough, a guy who was in B&I, not ours. There's a different B&I group that I went to with Kiri 10.
Oh, yeah.
And he does the kind of like NLP. He's just absolute gem. Like, he's so intelligent. He's just got like all of his masters and everything. He just loves learning. Because the girl who I did the lightning process with moved to Auckland, and I was like, kind of feel like it was like 3 years ago. I was like, I kind of just feel like I need a reset. Like, we're growing so quickly now. There's all these things happening. I can just feel myself getting quite overwhelmed, and there's a lot there. So yeah, I reached out to him, and he was, yep, no worries. Yeah, let's catch up. And he came round and gave me some really good tips. And that was exactly one of the things. Like, first thing he does in the morning is he just walks straight onto his balcony, and just spreads his arms back, opens his chest, and just stares out into the world. And basically, he's just like, yep, this is my like haven. This is it. And I kind of do the same thing. Like, my garden is like my little haven. So I can't do anything without coffee in the morning. I love my like first coffee, but I make the coffee, play with the animals, and then I go straight to the garden and I just sit and I just stare at like we're on the hills in Christchurch. So I sit looking at the hills. I just sit listening to like the sheep and the sound of the birds and just everything, you know, just immerse yourself in like, cool, okay, there's a bigger world out there than the garage and my laptop and that like little bubble that you end up in. There's more, you know, you've created that stress, which I love because it's, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm stressed, it means that I'm busier. And if I'm busier, it means I'm growing. But to have that reset, like I'm a big naturey, outdoorsy person, and just listening to like sheep on the fields, for example.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because we've evolved in nature. There's something about going back to it rather than being in a room and being in an environment that's not necessarily what we've evolved in. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not natural, is it? Like, when you think about it.
It's not.
You know,
and it's pretty recent, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you think about animals and stuff, you know, they just live outdoors, you know, and they're happy.
They do, yeah. And so you've got the range. Have you still got the capsules?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't bring them actually. I thought you might just want the haircut.
We just need product placement everywhere.
I know, yeah, I should have done. Yeah. So we've still got those, we're just moving to new packaging at the moment, which is very exciting.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it was, again, like funny when you look at brands and then you're like, oh, I wonder why they changed packaging and all these sort of things. And then you're on the back end of it and you're like, no, this might be why actually. Because when we launched, we obviously didn't want to launch with a large amount in case we needed to make any tweaks, or, you know, the mass amount of people were like, oh, okay, well, maybe this could be changed and X, Y, Z. So I just wanted to start with maybe like 500 of each, test our customers, test it out there. All of the like packaging places were like, sorry, the minimum, and I wanted recycled, 100% recycled plastic for the shampoo and the conditioner. And all of them were like, sorry, it's 10,000. And I was like, well, I'm not going to launch with 10,000, am I? Like,
no.
They was like, yeah, that's the minimum order quantity. So I was like, wow, that sucks. And then I managed to find, luckily, just a packaging company in Aussie who would do those bottles that we've got now. in 100% recycled material, and they did I think it was like 2,000. So I was like, that's fine. We'll buy the 2,000. We'll make a 500 of each, and then I've got kind of 500 bottles if we need to do another small run, and then that way I can get the wheel moving to get different packaging later on. And yeah, like I said, it just went so well, and everyone loves it so much that I was like, okay, cool. Not many tweaks that need doing. Let's move forward to the new packaging. So yeah, we've got some awesome packaging coming, which is same sort of shape as the bottle, but then it's a twist top on the top. So literally just twist it, use the product, twist it to close.
Cool.
Yeah. It's pretty sexy.
Yeah, right. Nice. And what have you learned through the process of like working with ambassadors, influencers? What do you call them? Did you mention ambassadors before?
Yeah, I call them ambassadors because I don't know. It's funny, when I first started, I was like, oh no, I'm not using influencers.
Yeah.
No, I don't like I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And then someone really changed my mindset, and they were like, well, influencers and content creators are kind of just your mini celebrities. You think of David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, they got incredibly popular, incredibly huge, and then they had their own brands, or they would go and sponsor a brand, and then they'd go and sponsor like Nike or something. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They were like, yeah, it's basically that, but on a smaller scale. So it's like these people have built up a little following, and people just love them for whatever they're about.
Yes.
And then they kind of trust what they're talking about. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get that. That makes sense.
It's like a win-win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah, sweet. I'll, maybe look into that. And so we started originally with some sort of like smaller ones, which kind of worked. And then moved to, one of our stockists actually sent me a screenshot of Erin Simpson's postpartum hair loss story. She was a bit like, guys, I'm going bald. What's going on? Anyone know any products? So I just reached out and was like, oh, hey, look, we're just a wee small brand. If you want to try our products, I'm happy to send you the products, and we'll go from there. And yeah, we worked with her for like 2 years, I think. And that's what really helped us grow. And then she sort of introduced us to Simone Anderson. And she started taking it, and she was with us for about a year. And again, they just absolutely loved it. And it really, I think I love it because you're actually watching their journey. So you're watching them take the tablets or take the hair care, whatever they're on.
Yeah.
And then you see that results over a period of time. And those photos and those videos are just so crucial for like watching that journey, because we call it a journey. It's not a quick fix. It's just not, like, that's not what we're about. We're not hair extensions. We're not just going click these in and you're gonna have long hair. The products work with the natural cycle. So your hair cycle is spanned over 4 different phases. It can be over a year. Everyone's phases are different. So we tell people, look, commit to a long period of time. Or just don't try it. I know that sounds really bad, doesn't it? But I'd rather someone be like, yeah, no, I'm in long term. This is it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to help myself.
I like that.
Yeah. So they're really important for doing that. And then back end of last year, when we brought the hair care in, we introduced some other smaller ones, and it was just really awesome. Like, we've got a really cool little like team now. Where I'm just changing in some like things that I'm calling it at the moment. We're calling it like Kiri fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. Funny take on it, a different brand. But yeah, so we're gonna like call it Kiri fans, and we're gonna have like 2 different sections. So you're gonna have like your customer collective and then like your creator collective. So like, yeah, I've always been very transparent, very open. I'm like, yeah, look, we do work with ambassadors and other people out there. I think most brands do nowadays. But we want to, again, like, one of my core values in Kiri Tent is transparency. So I want to have it very transparent and be like, our like customer of the week is, Sharon. This is her before and after photos. This is a little bit about hair. This is her story.
Awesome.
Oh, and then our like creator of the week is, Emma. And this is what she does. She's got a side business of this, and actually like promote them as well.
Cool. I love
so
that.
rather than just it being about them promoting us, I want to promote them, because a lot of them do. They've got like other side businesses, and like Emma, who I just mentioned, for example, she's got a beauty therapy business that she just does from home. So I'm like, if it can be like this really cool community where we're all like building each other up and just being very transparent about like, yeah, look, we do work with them, and yeah, they're our wee little sales team.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this is our customers and this is what they're about. This is what they're going to do. Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. I'm looking really forward to kind of nailing down the little tweaks on that.
Yeah, it's cool, right? It's cool when a business can become more than just a transaction and telling stories and getting to know people and sort of interact with them in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really cool about technology and marketing and different platforms now is that you can have that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And whether it's like the shorter form stuff on Instagram or if it's the longer form stuff on YouTube, like it's just interesting.
Yeah. I want to get into my longer form stuff this year on YouTube because I've just not just realised. I obviously like to talk and I can obviously talk about Kiri 10 forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really want to start doing that, and I think having Millie now in the house will be really, really important for that. Because I'm not very good in front of a camera on my own. I turn into a bit of a robot. I'm a bit like, hello, I am Natalie, hi. But whereas if there's someone that I'm talking to, and it feels more conversational, then it just flows and it's like me and my personality and the actual story comes out properly. So yeah, I think having her, which I think I mentioned when I first walked in this morning, we sat down yesterday morning, filmed for about an hour, but filmed probably 23 pieces of content because it was just her asking me questions.
So easy, right?
Yeah. And it was so good. Like we were sat on my couch at home because obviously we're still working from the garage. Sat on the sofa, there's the dog in the middle of us because she jumped up and I was like, no, get down. And then she just curled into a ball. I was like, well, you're in these now. That's it.
Yeah.
But no, it was cool. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. I think it's about creating that environment that is easy to replicate because I feel what you're saying. Like, when I'm in front of a camera, like one-on-one, like just with the videographer or whatever, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so much pressure for some reason.
Yeah, which is weird because it's just talking.
I know.
It's talking about the thing that you love and your passion. But
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a podcast then.
Yeah, I have thought about this. Yeah, I've just I've learnt that with the possibility, well, what we spoke about earlier, with the possibility of I might have ADHD that is, undiagnosed. I'm not very good with task priority. So everything feels important. And I have a mountain of obviously tasks and everything is I need to do it right now. So Paul's been helping me kind of go, well, no, what's like a now? Like, what do you need to do right now?
Yes.
What's really important but can wait until maybe a couple of weeks? And then what's on the back burner of like, what can you do at a later date, which will still work and still be important, but not going to move the needle forward. It's not going to help you right now. So that's been really important. So I literally just have a piece of paper next to me, and anytime something comes up, I kind of put it into a little section of like marketing or admin or operations, and then I can kind of look at my list and go, oh yeah, that I needed to do. I need to do that yesterday, so let's do that right now. Versus that's more of on the research side. So let's maybe put that in for an hour or two next week. But yeah, the task prioritization. But I did think that the podcast would be amazing. It's always something that I've wanted to do. I think what I'll probably just start doing is potentially filming the videos and then using the sound as the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And just have it as like what you've done, where you have like either you talking about something or talking to other people. Because there's heaps of people that I want to sort of not interview, but like have chats with and put it online. Because I do feel like my story in regards to like the mental health and how that's helped just live that kind of happier, more fulfilled life. There's people that sit within all the industry as well, like having chats with, say, Rika, who we both know, who's in that space, chatting to, say, women's health who deal with like purely menopause. Funnily enough, I've got a customer who does coaching for women with menopause,
Right.
and she uses our product, and then was like, this is amazing, by the way. Do you mind if I start telling my customers about it? Because I know a lot of them struggle with hair loss. And I was like, yeah, go for it. So I'd like to have a chat with her and do that. So there's so many people and so much goodness. But yeah, I've got to nail myself down.
You got to manage that time. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
something that comes up inevitably in either, coaching sessions that I'm running, podcast, life in general, right? It's this whole time management thing and the theory or the reality that we've all got the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Right?
And
We've all
that's
got
it.
the same 16 hours
Yeah.
after sleeping.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so what do you do with it?
I know.
Because I guess that is the challenge, is that when you're looking at a list of tasks and things to do, it's like, I guess it's that quadrant, right? The urgent, important, not urgent, etc. And so it's just like a question of where do you put that focus?
Yeah. Yeah.
This book I'm listening to at the moment, 10x is easier than 2x, is quite interesting because it talks about this whole theory of not being able to outwork yourself to get to 10x. You've got to actually you've got to deconstruct what you're doing and actually define what's going to get you to that next level, because you can't 10x your hours, right?
No.
You can 2x probably and overwork yourself, but it's not going to be a great way of growth.
No.
So-
And I burn out pretty quickly and pretty easily. So I've really got to manage my time and my not overworking, even though I'd love to spend 16 hours a day on this. I'd eat, breathe and sleep it, but then I burn out and then I'm out for 2 weeks, and then that even then that adds to the overwhelm, because you're like, well, now I've not really done anything for 2 weeks,
And then you're beating yourself
and
up.
Yeah.
Downward spiral.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had all these plans in December of like, oh yeah, I'm going away to the Sound, so I'm going to use this beautiful location to work on some emails and do this and the marketing plan for that. And I got there, and luckily we were kind of camping rather than in the house, and they had Starlink, but it was purely just in the house. So when I was in the house, you're obviously around friends, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be working around them. And then when I went to our little camping area on my own, the Starlink just didn't work.
Right.
So I was like, there's no point.
It's not meant to be.
Nah, it's not meant to be. So it was a week, but honestly, even though I didn't necessarily work in the business, I kind of worked on it, because I really worked on I reflected on what worked in 2024, what didn't work, where do I need to put my focus, where what sort of hours did I work that actually really worked as well. I think that was pretty crucial. And then just honing that coming into 2025 and having a really clear vision, which was really odd. I don't think I've ever had that coming into any new start to the year. We all laugh and talk about New Year's resolutions and coming into the new year refreshed, and I've always just walked into it more burnout than I've come into it. But yeah, this year I came in real clear, real concise. I knew what I wanted to achieve, knew what I wanted to focus on. So yeah, in fact, it was the actual switch off from not doing the actual typing and the working was so crucial, because I've come into it smashing 2025.
That silver lining again, right? Yeah. I had a similar experience over Christmas, New Year's with this vertigo thing. With limited energy, it really forced me to prioritize time and where to spend it. And so, similar kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
There's no end to email or systems or marketing, or it's a never ending list.
Yeah.
And so by having such limited time and energy, it really forced me to focus on delivering value to the clients, doing what's absolutely necessary, but nothing more.
Yeah.
And so it really helps filter out that noise. And it's sort of a blessing to get that.
Yeah. Because I was so just all over the place last year, and so kind of confused and had no boundaries, and was a bit oh yeah, let's do this, and cool, let's do that, let's do this, and I've had to come into this year and be very clear cut on boundaries, and being no, that's not for now. That is down the track. I'll get to that, but this is what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, nice.
This is really important. I need to get this out, because we've brought in a new marketing company, and they're absolutely amazing, and really, really helping. And in fact, everything I'd learned and everything I was struggling to kind of implement myself by just not having the skill set, but having kind of the knowledge, they've come in with exactly the same sort of mind frame with all of these things that I'd learned, but also like the skills and the people behind it to implement.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So we're just like working on some like new product pages and things at the moment, which, you know, I was like, oh, I really want this there and I really want this there and I want this to do this. But the Shopify version just didn't do that. So they've come in with this amazing kind of like third party site that basically fills into it. And it should be going live actually over the next day or two. And I'm so excited because it just looks so much more like cleaner, crisper. Like I've always been about simplicity. You know, this is what the product is. This is what it's about. These are your options of how to buy. There you go.
Love
you
that.
know, not too much fluff going around, not too much like noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited.
I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It speaks to the value of getting the right people in the right seats.
Yeah.
And whether
yeah.
that's, outside vendors like that or contractors or employees or even friends or anyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we've got real cool like team coming into this year. Like last year felt like it was just me. I had a like third party lady who was based in Auckland who would do some content for me, but bless her, she would always be like, so have you taken any more videos for me? Like, have we got, have you filmed yourself doing anything more? And I'm like, sorry, no. So like by the end of like last year, it basically just ended up being in posts or it was reels of like really old footage. So I think, again, bringing that in-house with Millie has been so important because I've let her run with it as well. Like this year, I've kind of gone, I'm delegating because I need to. Yeah. There's stuff that I really need to focus on this year and I don't need to be micromanaging. So by bringing her in, I kind of was like, day one, I was like, look, so the socials are yours. Basically, I'm here to like help you. I'll answer any questions you've got. I'll be in there like filming and stuff, but basically you've got the free rein. You've got the run of it. Like whatever you want to do, you go for it. And yeah, I think she's really enjoyed it because she's smashing it and it's so nice. And then I've got a friend helping now doing like the dispatch. So, and rather than thinking, well, we must dispatch 5 days a week, like we must, I've kind of gone, well, why? Like it doesn't matter if it gets sent on. If it doesn't get sent on a Tuesday or a Thursday, if we just do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and she's like coming around to help, and I'm like, oh yeah, no one's gonna care if it's like an extra 24 hours, like we're pretty quick anyway. So, and when I was overworked and overwhelmed and all the rest of it, sometimes things get like the dispatch didn't get done for 3 days, 4 days sometimes, and I'd be panicking. So now there's some good like structure. And like I say, so we've now got Millie, I've got my friend helping, and then I've got the marketing company. It's just amazing. And then we've got a lady helping us doing some like retail brokering, but mainly for like overseas stuff, which is amazing. And again, that's just mind blowing because all of these people have been a bit like, wow, you've really got something here. This is amazing. Like, yeah, no one's kind of ever really done the internal external. They kind of go, sweet, we'll be a supplement brand or we'll be an external hair care brand, but no one's kind of ever gone, why can't you do both?
Let's do both.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got some pretty exciting stuff coming up actually.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your predictions for the year? If we're sitting here in 2026, beginning 12 months has gone by.
So my goals and predictions will be we will have distribution in Australia, which will help us online as well because shipping's just gone crazy high. So they'll hopefully do some 3PL for us as well. Then India, Fiji, the UK, and possibly somewhere in the EU as well, and maybe the US.
Wow.
Possibly even China.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. They're basically all conversations that are happening right now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It sounds like important high-level work.
Yeah.
And things that don't necessarily get done if you're doing the day-to-day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. Like having a team this year was so important. It was so crucial because that element and that stuff wouldn't happen if, again, I'm there filming and making a reel, or, you know, just, or like sending the orders out. And I mean, Amy is like, she's so similar to me anyway. Like, I call her my doppelganger because I was like, you're just basically the Kiwi me. So she's just smashing it. Like, she's just like ran into the role, and I even sometimes just read the emails that she's sent, and I'm like, oh my God, it sounds like me.
Perfect.
Yeah. So just really good. Like, having a team has just been so good to move into this year, because it's kind of taken me from that mindset of like, I'm a small business owner to in fact, actually, I'm going to put my hands down here and say entrepreneur and business owner, because when I said those with Alan, who I did the coaching with the other day, I said, oh yeah, entrepreneur. And he's like, do you know you just put that in these? And I was like, sorry. He was like, yeah. He was like, that's why you don't feel like that, because you're putting it in brackets. He was like, you need to start like thinking about yourself like that.
Owning it.
Yeah, owning it. Yeah, because you're smashing it. But yeah, well, it still gives me a shiver when I say things like that.
Yeah. I guess it's a journey, isn't it? It's a journey of evolving from the different stages of startup through to running a team, through to developing your own persona and evolving constantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess using the label for the positive and not using those inverted commas, right?
Yeah. I think entrepreneur definitely gets thrown out sometimes a bit weird, as I think that's why I've got a bit of a funny feeling about it. You know, there's definitely people out there and you're like, oh, I don't.
Entrepreneur, yeah, it is a funny one. It's a bit like the word success, right? Like, it's got so many meanings and connotations. And it really depends on your own relationship with the word.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I might just come up with my own word and start. Hope it gets in the dictionary and just be like, that's who I am.
That's it. That lands. Yeah. I love it. So cool, Nat. Well, it's been awesome chatting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Love having some physical product on the show. This is a first time ever in the new studio here, so that's exciting. If anyone wants to learn more, I'm sure that we'll link all your stuff below. But I guess that's just to look back toward being authentic and putting yourself out there. I'm sure someone will get a feeling for you based on the social media, based on the content, the website, the branding, everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, I'm pretty. I am who I am.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't change. I don't alter anymore. I did in my 20s. I literally would change myself to fit in with a specific person, and obviously you get to your 30s and kind of go, God, that was draining. So yeah. People get a real good sense of who I am because it's just who I am.
I love that. Have you been on a podcast before?
Yes, a couple, but it wasn't like this sort of format. It was just over the phone, pretty much.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So this has been quite cool.
Yeah, no, it's been so good having you on and having a chat, and I'm so excited to see the progress and the journey continue.
Cool, thank you.
We could see a podcast of your own one day.
Yep, maybe.
Definitely. So hopefully this has given you a taste on what it's like, and maybe cause some thought to occur. So thank you very much for your time.
Cool, thank you.
I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.